talking to us about marketing.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here to talk to all these girl bosses.
Yeah. Well, so we've got campers that are watching live as well as those are gonna watch later. So campers, if you come up with a question that you really want to ask Dawn, to post it in the live stream, be sure to post it in the forum and I'll be sure to share it with her afterwards. But so before we dive into marketing tips, Dawn, I really want to take the chance to have you tell your story and talk about all the things that you do when building your empire.
Sure, absolutely. So I have a long history, not as long as you guys are going to have when you're my age, but I have a fairly long history of entrepreneurship. And I started my first business at 23. I wish I had something like this because I think I would have started a lot earlier had I had this mentorship. I think it's amazing. But I started a grocery delivery business. I lived out at the beach in the Outer Banks off North Carolina, and I started a grocery delivery business and did that for quite a few years until I opened my first restaurant. And then decided to pack up and move to Asheville, as Emily said, and started my marketing business. I wanted a clean slate. So I said I was never going to get in the restaurants again. Anyway,
I hear you there.
Yeah. So I started my marketing business, and this will be my 8th year. So I built my marketing business. At its height, we had 5 working in-house, and then we had a team outside. I've scaled it down a little bit since we started our restaurant 4 years ago. In 2016, I got back into the restaurant business and we started a restaurant. My husband's in the operations of it, but I am the entrepreneur. So I'm the one that's handling all the business and marketing and all of that kind of stuff behind the scenes. We launched the food truck, which was pretty awesome because we actually built it out. So we built out a food truck and launched that in 2017. And we are getting ready to open our second location for our brick and mortar in about 2 weeks. So,
holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, it's an even bigger deal that you're here today. You've got a full plate.
It's exhausting, but it's so fulfilling. Yes, I love it.
Well, and so you see the power of marketing on many fronts now. I mean, you see it through your marketing business as well as the work that you do through your restaurant. Can you talk about why marketing is so powerful, especially for girl bosses, for new entrepreneurs, what they need to know about it?
Absolutely. And I think it's kind of a cool distinction to already know, which I know you guys have learned this in camp already, is the distinction between marketing and sales, because I think I always grouped the two together. Mm-hmm. And so before I started my marketing business, I always associated marketing with sales. And then I associated sales with schmoozy. And so I had this kind of negative kind of viewpoint on it. And so when I had my restaurant back in the Outer Banks, it's about 10 years ago now, it was my first insight into how powerful marketing could be. We actually dealt with hurricanes on a regular basis out there, and we had a hurricane that came through and it cut the road to the island for 3 months.
Wow.
And so here we were, Labor Day weekend. It's the big bang of our season is Labor Day weekend for a tourist-driven place. And the hurricane cut through the island and we had no way to serve customers. So but trying to kind of compact a pretty long story into a very short period of time, we ended up using social media to put it out there to our audience, which ended up going viral, that we would serve food to the hurricane victims that were more impacted. Although we weren't able to get any traffic to the island, we were less impacted than some other places around us. So we put it out on social media that we would serve food for like a package price. Anyhow, we ended up serving 4,200 meals in a matter of a couple of weeks. It went viral.
Wow.
It was insane. It made the paper. I had people sending me checks in the mail. It was my first kind of light bulb into, wow, the power of because that was marketing, you know? So it not only did it benefit us, but we were able to hire more people than we ever hired in the height of the season. So we were able to give people jobs who would otherwise have been unemployed, and we were helping people who needed it. We were serving the first responders and people who had lost their homes and their cars. And so it was just a powerful message to me. And so that's what really gave me the idea to start my business. And so if I'm going to answer the question, why marketing is so powerful, it's because you are able to connect with people to make an impact and make your big idea come to life.
Yeah. Well, and that's so crazy now is, the fact that our whole world is online, people do a lot more research. They look a lot harder at the things that they want to buy, the people that they're going to hire, right? Like it's not just finding someone down the road, it's that they get online and they're able to pick from many, many people. And so getting to know you, because that was what you did in that experience, was that people learned to love what you stood for, right? Yeah. Like they had a lot of respect for how you were helping your community. And so you're right, it doesn't have to be schmoozy sales.
No,
it can be telling really heartfelt, authentic stories about, what you value.
And that to me is the heart of marketing. It's being able to, I know that there's these buzzwords and authenticity and
all the time. Yeah.
But yeah. When you really unpack that, it's true. If you really, really are able to get to the heart of why you're doing what you're doing, and you're able to convey that in a way that connects with people, and you're filling a need, then it never will be schmoozy.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be. The idea of marketing is to be able to tell your story in a way that sells the product itself. You never have to make a sales pitch. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so the bottom line is that people want to buy from companies that they like and who they trust, right? And so marketing gives you the opportunity to really showcase who you are and why they should like you. Yeah. And then when you do that, they do come running. They like what you stand for and they want to buy your stuff.
Yes, and be you, because I think I've fallen into that trap of like, well, I want everybody to like me and I want everybody to buy from me. Well, that's never going to happen. So the sooner you get that out of your head and realize that, you might not ever be everybody's cup of tea, but you will be something to somebody. And so look for your somebodies.
Yeah, so we talk about that in camp, right? So the campers are picking their ICA, or their ideal customer avatar, their best possible favorite customer in the whole world, of who that is. And if they could have 1,000 of those people, then they're going to be happier and more successful. So what tips would you give to campers that they have a pretty good idea of who their ICA is and they're trying to figure out how best to market to those people?
One of the best exercises that I still do this, one of the best exercises that I embark on when I am trying to learn about my ideal customer, because it is about listening to what your what do you call it?
ICA.
ICA. What your ICA needs is to listen. And so where are your people? You determine whether they're on Facebook or they're on YouTube, or they're, look for your competitors. So who's doing something similar to what you're doing? Find them and look for reviews. There is so much in reviews. To be able to just read reviews about other competitors and people that are in your industry, and you'll see what people value about that product or service, and you'll see what people are missing, so you can find opportunities. And so there's so much value in just listening. And when I say listening, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm talking, you're listening. It means like reading and just going out there and kind of finding where your customers are and what are they saying.
Yeah. So doing the market research, right? Getting in there and finding it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and so for the campers that they've got their brand in their mind, or they're working on their logo, they're starting to come up with their main marketing channels. Talk to us a little bit about the role of the marketing strategy. How important is it to have a plan when you're getting started?
Well, I would say the number one thing that my clients say when they call me is essentially, I'm going to distill it down. They are throwing noodles against a wall to see
Yeah.
what stick.
Mhm.
So, and that's why they're calling. And so the marketing strategy is critical. If you are able to get an idea of what your goals are, what your main goals are, which, most people will say, well, that's to make money. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's to make money. And how are you going to do that? Well, then you determine that you need to be on Facebook or YouTube. Okay. What are your goals on those platforms? And so I don't know if you go over KPIs or,
So we have them set on an editorial calendar. They set those goals of like if they're shooting for a number of views or another number of likes or followers, that sort of thing.
Perfect. Yes. And
Mhm.
that's what we call KPIs. So
Yes.
those key point indicators are your benchmark. Those are your benchmarks to know that you're reaching your goals, so that, I'm trying not to get too like in depth into the analytics because I'm a total
Totally.
analytics nerd, but being able to set those goals and have those benchmarks and know when you're successful and revisiting them. So that's the key, like coming up with the content strategy and putting it on the calendar. Okay, I'm going to check this in 30 days. And then 30 days, you have something on the calendar that says revisit this. And then you look at your benchmarks to see, am I meeting these? And
Mhm.
why am I not meeting these? And how can I do better at meeting these? And then set new ones. And, you'll just continue tweaking and revisiting. But it's super important.
Yeah, well, and especially, in the beginning, and this is one thing we talk about in camp is in the beginning, it's more important to just be curious, right? And to set kind of that research parameter of I don't know yet what's going to work,
Yeah.
but we're going to try out these things and I'm going to note what we find so that maybe a year from now I will know what works. Because there's a lot of things that you're not going to figure out until you're actually out there having those conversations and listening to your people, right?
Yeah. And that's why I believe that small business will have a place in our society, because we look at big corporations like Amazon and Target and all of these big corporations. Well, what they're missing is the ability to pivot quickly. So
Yeah.
that is like a superpower of small business owners, is the ability to see something and quickly change and not have to send it to my boss, and then they send it to their boss, and they have to send it to corporate headquarters, and then
Right.
by the time something gets done, it's
The
too late.
opportunity's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really, it's really important, but I think it's one of the biggest missed opportunities of small business owners, because people get into a business because they have an idea and that's all they want to do. I just want to do that product or service. I want to
Mhm.
make this product, or I want to do this service. And so we often miss that piece of seeing what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all this helpful information. For campers that do want to learn more about you and your business, where do they go to find that out?
Sure. So you can find me at upperlimitsdigital.com. My name also forwards to that domain, so dawnchitwood.com. Bad Sheep Burritos is the restaurant. So that's
I
2 8.
love your burritos, by the way. They're the
Oh, thank
best.
you. Thank you. We have to say Bad Sheep Burritos.
Bad.
BAA' sheep burritos. And so you can find us on the web, and we're on Facebook and Instagram and all those places.
Awesome. Well, campers, if you've got a burning question that you want to send to Dawn, post it in the forum and I'll email it to her and share her responses there. Dawn, thank you again for joining us. And I hope that you've had a really good summer. And I'm sure you're about to start a really exciting fall. So we just really appreciate your time today.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you guys, all of you watching. Keep going. Don't give up on your dreams. And I'm super proud of you. So.
Awesome. Well, campers, we'll see you back here tomorrow with another live interview. Bye, everyone.